Hello, everyone. Our objective here is to add and subtract rational expressions. Before we get into adding and subtracting rational expressions, let's just do a quick little review of how you add and subtract fractions. So let's do a simple problem. Let's do 1/2 plus 1/2. So if you have a half plus a half, you should be able to think through that and realize that, oh, that's the same thing as 1 whole. So the first thing that should jump out at you is that notice you do not just add these numerators and add these denominators. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2/4 would make no sense, because then you're essentially saying that 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1/2. So when you add these fractions, you need to keep the same denominator and just add your numerators. So 1 plus 1 would be 2, and you keep that same denominator 2, and you need common denominators when you add and subtract fractions, and 2 over 2 is the same thing as 1 whole. 2/2 is 1 whole. Let's do a slightly more challenging one. What if I add 1/2 plus, I don't know, 7/9? Now on this one, I do not have common denominators, so I would want to get a common denominator. And between 2 and 9, my least common denominator would be 18. So I'm going to rewrite 1/2 as 9/18. And this fraction here, 7/9, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2. That would be 14/18. And adding those together, 9 plus 14 is 23. You keep the same denominator. That's an improper fraction, so if you wanted to, you could rewrite that as 1 and 5/18. All right, so there's just a quick review of adding and subtracting fractions. Let's take a look at adding and subtracting with rational expressions. So right away, it should jump out at you that, slightly more complicated situation here that you're dealing with. And our problem is b minus 3 over 12b plus 18 plus 4b all over 12b plus 18. So the good news is I have common denominators here. So I'm not really going to worry about the denominators too much. Just like in that last example, when I add these fractions, my denominator is just going to be 12b plus 18. From here, I want to add my numerators, combine my like terms. So I got a b plus a 4b. That would be 5b. And this negative 3 can't be combined with anything. So it's just going to be 5b minus 3. And there's nothing I can do here in terms of simplifying this. So that is my final answer, 5b minus 3 over 12b plus 18. One thing you might want to do is note the domain restriction. So the denominator cannot be 0. So find out, when does 12b plus 18 equal 0? And if we just subtract 18 on both sides, so I know that my 12b, it's not allowed to be negative 18, and divide both sides by 12. My b value, and we can simplify this, divide top and bottom by 6, and that would be negative 3/2. So my one domain restriction is that b is not allowed to equal negative 3/2.